Hey, Robyn Openshaw here. Welcome to my new Bitcoin channel. Some of you may have been following me as Green Smoothie Girl the last 18 years, but I started this channel because I really feel like you have to have an immersive experience with Bitcoin. You have to really understand it in order to even stay in it. Otherwise, what I have seen people do in my last 5 years since I bought my first big tranche of Bitcoin in March of 2020 is that if you don't understand what you have and why you have it, if you don't have a really clear awareness of what it is and why you want to keep it and never sell it, then you will sell when it goes up 50% or it goes up 100%, because that's our understanding. That's our awareness is, hey, goes up, number goes up, sell it. You also often will sell when the number goes down. Okay, so I was buying Bitcoin starting at 8,000. I was buying even as high as 50,000, and then I sat there for a few years and didn't buy anymore. But there was a point when I owned Bitcoin that I had paid up to $50,000 for after the FTX scandal, and FTX came crashing down, and it really kind of hurt every category of crypto. And it fell down to like 17,000 for a minute. And had I not had a really clear thesis and broad ranging understanding of what Bitcoin is and all the problems that it solves and why it's the perfect money, the most permissionless, trustless asset in the history of the world, I probably would have sold, and I think a lot of people did, and they just figured, well, I better get my $17,000 per Bitcoin out of it, or else it's going to go to zero. People have said that every time there's a bear market. Okay, we were in a bull market after the election. Bitcoin ran up $36,000, and it's been hovering anywhere from above 8,000 to below 8,000, below or above 100K. So it hit 100K. I don't know, 6 weeks ago or something like that. And it's just been bouncing around. Right now it's in the 90,000s. We'll probably look back on this time and wish that we had bought more in the 90,000s. But I also wanted to say that I haven't done a new video for, I don't know, a week and a half, 2 weeks, because this is a complete side tangent, but I burned a skin cancer off right here. See it? And also right here. Bigger one is like pre-cancer. So I burned them off with this stuff called black salve. It's one of the most popular topics that I talk about at Green Smoothie Girl. So if you want to learn more, you can subscribe to my Substack blog, which you can Google my name, Robyn Openshaw, and Substack, and it'll bring it right up. Just subscribe there. And in my blog, search on Substack, because it's really hard to learn about black salve, which I've used 40 to 50 times on my face and chest, and you can't tell, right? It's not like I have like scars everywhere. I've had two of the 40 or 50, I've had like two scar. And then over time, you really kind of can't tell those scars either. The one here, I have to like show it to people, and it's almost gone. The little, I don't even know where it is, somewhere around here. And then I have a little divot in my nose. And those are the ones where they got to full squamous cell or basal cell cancer before I burned them off. So, you know, dermatology doesn't want you to use this stuff. I'm not giving you medical advice, but everything that I've published on it, except for Substack, which is a free speech platform, everything I've published on it has been taken down. Like, I had a video that hundreds of thousands of people had watched on YouTube, and YouTube took it down. They've taken down everything I've ever said about cancer, everything I've ever said about COVID. So back to this subject. If you don't spend the time that it takes, there's no Cliff's Notes where you can learn about it in 20 minutes or even 2 hours. Michael Saylor says you have to spend 200 hours on Bitcoin to even make the claim that you understand it at all. I think what happens is people sell when it goes up, and then they're right back in fiat currency being debased. Now you're right back in the situation you were in to begin with. And if you repurchase Bitcoin, you're going to be doing so at a much higher price. So, or like I said, it tanks, and because you don't have a firm foundation in why you own it in the first place and what you believe that Bitcoin is going to do from here, then you're going to sell because you just you're worried about losing everything. So betting against Bitcoin right now is kind of like betting against Niagara Falls. Bitcoin went up hundreds of percents during the hostile Biden administration. The Biden administration had no interest in helping the crypto industry or Bitcoin itself. They certainly weren't investing themselves as a US government in crypto, and everything changed in November 2024, everything changed when a president was elected who in 2020 did not get Bitcoin, didn't understand it at all. Well, especially his sons probably like grabbed his face and said, "We demand you listen to us about Bitcoin," because Trump was on record towards the end of his term being against Bitcoin, which is really common for a 78-year-old guy, or at the time, 74. Really, really common. The boomers, the silent generation, which is what my parents are at 81, they aren't going to understand it for the most part. They're not going to need to for the most part. They're going to be able to ride out the rest of their days on what made them rich, which is their real estate going up 500% and 1,000%. Is that going to happen for the millennials, though? I don't think so. Okay, the real estate prices going up right now is because the price of the dollar is tanking. So it's not really that our houses are worth more, it's that our dollars are worth less. So I could write an entire curriculum for a master's degree at universities on Bitcoin. I'm not going to. I don't know how that would monetize for me. I'm not sure who would pay me to develop a curriculum for a master's degree in Bitcoin. Michael Saylor could do it. I could do it. We're not doing it because, first of all, we'd rather just educate people ourselves instead of going through the stodgy old education system. But the people who do spend the amount of time it takes to understand Bitcoin are advantaged versus everyone else, because when you invest in Bitcoin, you're investing in the future, right? So I also don't want to develop the master's degree in Bitcoin. And what I'm trying to tell you here is there's that much to know about how many problems could be solved if, for instance, the US government just acquired Bitcoin until it owned like 20% of the whole network, which is a really smart thing that Michael Saylor thinks that we should do. And I think not only Trump, but his whole administration is super, super pro Bitcoin. Unfortunately, we also have to get Congress to come along and create law. And there is legislation drafted, and Senator Lummis in Wyoming is behind it, but it's going to take a while. The whole process going through the legislature. I personally hope that Donald Trump and our Secretary of the Treasury and our Commerce Secretary and everybody just do whatever they have to do, whatever is within the law, even if it's borderline, to get their hands on, as a nation state, as much Bitcoin as they can. Because if we don't, the countries of the Middle East are going to beat us to it, which they can pivot faster than we can. They don't have a big, House of Representatives and Senate, and they got to go to committee, and then they go back and forth, and then they rewrite different versions, and they go back and forth again, and maybe they table it and come back next year. We can't afford that with Bitcoin. We need to front end run it. As a nation, we need to front end run it, but also you and I, personally, we need to front end run it. We need to be in Bitcoin before everybody is forced into Bitcoin. And I believe that's where this is going, is that there will be the people who are early adopters, who are curious, who learn about it and get into Bitcoin and understand it and evangelize about it and talk to other people about it, because people are hopeless right now. People are feeling really discouraged. They're working harder than they've ever worked. They're not getting ahead. They're falling behind. Americans are getting deeper in debt, and there is a solution. There is a solution, but it takes the time that it takes to understand Bitcoin. No way in heck can I possibly, in this video, bring you up to speed. So why did I start a mastermind? So that there's Wednesday night live classes where we prepare content, and we are listening. The other coach and I are listening to 20 to 40 hours a week of content and curating the best parts for you so that you know what has happened in the Trump administration. I mean, that all by itself could be a 90-minute class every week, is the different countries that are coming into Bitcoin or stating their intent to do so. It'll probably take them a while to get everything lined up and get everybody who needs to agree on it on board for countries to start buying and custodying Bitcoin. So I started the mastermind 4 years ago when I felt like I had gotten way ahead of the average person out there in understanding Bitcoin and also investing in it myself. Did I go as far to the wall as Michael Saylor did? No. But I was having the same experience he was in March of 2020 when I was realizing, okay, everything that's going on right now, and especially when they started printing money, I was like, my company's either going to die slowly or quickly, or I'm going to take a big risk and I'm going to do something innovative. So he did something so innovative that his company that was doing literally $500 million worth of software sales, like they were kind of a dying company. Their competitor was Microsoft. He started just buying Bitcoin as fast as he could and then borrowing money to buy Bitcoin. And now he's extending bonds to buy more Bitcoin. And he's very clearly pivoting his company to be out of the software business and leave the monopoly to gobble up the remains of his software company, probably. And then become a Bitcoin bank. Because I think he owns half a million Bitcoins now. Many, many billions, whatever it is. And his stock is outperforming every US public company on all stock exchanges. It's even outperforming Bitcoin. And he says really openly, he's like, I would recommend you buy your own Bitcoin versus investing in his company, which is called Strategy. Used to be called MicroStrategy, and now he's changed it because he's not trying to be a Microsoft competitor anymore. He's slowly shifting into becoming a Bitcoin bank. Some of us listening to this may actually be borrowing money from a company called Strategy that's going to own, I think he owns somewhere between 2 and 4% of the Bitcoin that's been mined, which is a lot. That's a lot. But you know what? Your Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, who's the CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald, a big American bank, has said that they're going to get into the business of custodying Bitcoin and lending against it. And your president, Donald Trump, and his family have stated their intent to start custodying your Bitcoin and lending on it. So the world is changing so fast that it's absolutely dizzying. I don't think you have to know everything there is out there, but you definitely have to get in the information stream to start paying attention to how rapidly the ground underneath us is shifting. You know, I was on the phone for 2.5 hours on Saturday with the friend of a friend who was like, it's just like I don't want to spend all my time thinking about money and learning about money. And I said, I didn't either. You look at what I got my degree in, my advanced degree, what I've done with my career. It wasn't about money or finance. I don't come from the traditional finance industry. I was investing in real estate. I owned like 25 real estate properties. And I thought I was good. I thought that I was set. I was set. That was my retirement off ramp. If something happens to my company, if I sell it to my employees or whatever, you know, I was done. So why do I now own hardly any rental real estate? And half of I'm just going to say it out loud, half of my $15 million net worth is in Bitcoin. That is bold. Like, that's not Michael Saylor bold, but it's pretty bold. How did that happen? It took an immersive experience. It took me doing a couple thousand hours worth of research, and it was not a native interest of mine. I didn't go out there and listen to people pontificating about macroeconomics until March of 2020. I knew more about it probably than most people because I taught basic economics as a upperclassman in college, and you know, took that in school, but it's not my native interest. I would way rather be off listening to content on, I could tell you 10, 20 different topics that I wish I could spend all my time on. But Bitcoin has definitely captured my interest. It's now a native interest of mine. It certainly wasn't in the beginning. I went kicking and screaming. But we all have to take a look at the fact that our dollar is being debased. Our real estate it made the boomers rich. The stock market made Gen X rich. Those of us who are doing well, these kinds of things did. Okay, that's great. However, both of them are at serious risk. The stock market is horrifyingly overvalued. Real estate is coming down. Rents are coming down. In all these cities where rents shot up, they are now coming down. You can't get blood out of a turnip. You can't keep telling tenants they have to pay more. There's people paying 50% and 60% of their income, including couples where they both work, for rent. You can't get more money out of people. So I was trying to explain this to my 81-year-old mother, that my youngest son, who's 24, he's making double what I did coming out of college. He's just graduating college this year. He hasn't quite graduated yet. And he makes double what I did a generation ago coming out of college. but his rent is 12 times the rent that I was paying for similar super divey 1-bedroom apartments, finishing college and getting your first job. So this is not sustainable. It's not really great to be the owner of the real estate either when people can't pay their rent. So it's time for us to get creative. It's time for us to learn about the safest, most permissionless, trustless. They can't print it and inflate it away. They cannot make more Bitcoin. When it hits 21 million Bitcoin, that's it. It has to be mined based on the work of Bitcoin miners. It's just such an elegant solution. It's based on modern technology. We're just not going to go back to gold. You guys, it's pretty clear. We're not going back to gold. That's a whole other video. Okay. If you ask down below, I will do another video on why we are just not going back to gold. I mean, Trump's like saying it from on huge stages that he doesn't know if there's any gold in Fort Knox. And of course, I wonder the same thing since they haven't allowed any audit. They haven't let anybody into Fort Knox in over 50 years now, if you even believe the audit from 1974, which is a little bit suspect. So what does it mean for Bitcoin if we find out that the US has no gold? What does it mean for gold? Is gold really our future when you have to spend like 10% of the value of the gold to move it somewhere? I'll tell you what, selling mine was not easy. Had to call like 7 every place around here. I don't want to go down the gold rabbit hole too much though, but I will do a video on that. I like to keep these down to about 15 minutes. So because you need an immersive experience and you need to be able to ask your questions of someone who's way down the path from you, join our mastermind. You buy 2 months and get a 3rd month for free. And just set aside 8 p.m. Wednesday night Eastern time. Just set aside 90 minutes. And we want to bring you up to speed and have you ask your questions at the time that you have them. We want to make the class be what you want it to be. So I started the mastermind after I had been researching for a year, and I was like, more people need to know about this faster. And I can help them get started because I'm way ahead of them on the journey. And then we've been running the mastermind for 4 years and we really enjoy doing it. And our students, some of our students have told us they look forward to it all week. We always have some wild, awesome stuff that has happened to progress Bitcoin to becoming a dominant global asset, if not eventually the global reserve currency. I mean, I'm starting to think big with all the things that I've seen the last year or two. But Bitcoin grew massively under Biden when the SEC chairman, Treasury Secretary, president, nobody had any interest in doing anything but trying to slow it down. Now we have an administration that all of them are all systems go. They all get it and they all want to see it go. Our Treasury Secretary, pro-Bitcoin. Our Commerce Secretary, pro-Bitcoin. The president and his entire family, pro-Bitcoin. So got to ask yourself why. You need an immersive experience and set aside every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. In addition to getting a 3rd month free, use a coupon code in the link down below. Use a coupon code Robyn, R-O-B-Y-N, and get another $50 off. Somebody said I read from a script. Actually, I haven't read any scripts, haven't written any scripts for these videos, but I look at myself because I can't look at you, but I should be looking here because it seems like I'm looking at you. So that's it for today. I will keep doing these short pieces of content because I know it's hard to get people's attention on Bitcoin, but give us 90 minutes of your time on Wednesday night. And I feel like you will understand what this asset is that you own. So rather than just, invest $1,000 in it, call it good, walk away, stay on the learning path because many problems in our modern world are being solved on top of the Bitcoin layer. And we want to bring them to you and give you the Reader's Digest every Wednesday night. So I'll see you in class and I'll see you in my next short video. Bye now.